Hey everybody, it's time for another Rahdo Rules Run Through with Ryan, and today we've got Ryozen. Ryan, spin us right round, baby.
This just in. Go Ninja. Go Ninja. Go. Good evening, it's Ryan from Knights Around a Table. Here's how you play Ryozen. You and your friends play clan leaders in a fantasy kingdom who are trying to curry the favor of the radiant phoenix, who has long been asleep in her palace and will soon awaken. You'll place your kin in the different sectors surrounding the palace to gain rewards during the daytime, while an area majority contest earns you more rewards later that night. You can play your kin tiles face up to use their special abilities, or face down ninja style to exert more influence and win those nighttime contests. The different sectors earn you resources, revelation cards, new clan members, tie-breaking powers, and the ability to prevent detrimental events from happening. At the end of 3 rounds, whoever has earned the most favor points when the Radiant Phoenix awakens wins the game. When you're learning to play Ryozen, I think it makes the most sense to look at how final scoring goes and then work backwards from there. Throughout the game, you'll be collecting 3 types of resources: coins, scrolls, and sparks. But I'm going to use these cooler looking versions of them that came with the prototype. At the end of the game, every 3 of these basic resources you have gets you 1 favor point, which you track along the outside of the board. It doesn't matter which type of resources you have at the end, just count them all up, divide by 3, and round down. You'll also be winning these moon shards: agate, coral, and jade, or purple, orange, and green if you're not fancy. At the end of the game, you'll group your moon shards together to form sets. Every set of 3 of a kind gets you 9 points. Every set of 3 unique shards gets you 6 points. After that, every individual shard that doesn't form a set gets you 1 point apiece. And finally, you'll collect the points written on any revelation cards that you've managed to hang on to until the end of the game. Well, that's what you're aiming for. Now let's backtrack and see how you get there. Round structure. Ryozen is a worker placement game. You have a certain number of kin in your clan depending on player count, and there are 6 sectors on the board with spots where you can place those kin to do stuff. Off the jump, your whole clan is made up of apprentices, and one guy with special moves called a fighter. The game has 3 rounds made up of 3 phases each: daytime, nighttime, and dawn. You track each round by building the 3 levels of the Radiant Phoenix's palace. During the daytime phase, everyone takes turns placing 1 kin tile on the board and doing daytime stuff. When everyone's all out of guys, everyone suffers penalties from the event cards remaining in this sector. Then you evaluate each sector one by one, handing out nighttime rewards, and whoever has the most influence in each sector gets a special prize. And finally, in the dawn phase, you do a little cleanup. On your turn during the daytime phase, you'll place one of your kin on an empty spot on one of the 6 sectors. Then the next player in turn order takes a turn, and you go around and around until everyone has used up all of their kin tokens. Each spot can only hold 1 kin token, and if the spot has a cost printed on it, you have to pay that cost to place your kin there. The kin tokens are double-sided. You can either place your kin face up and use its special ability, and for now only one of your kin, the fighter, has a special ability. Or you can pay a coin to place your kin face down on the space. A face down kin is what the game calls cloaked. The face up, face down difference matters later during the nighttime phase. Any revealed kin in a sector counts for 1 influence point, while any face down cloaked kin counts for 2 influence points. We'll see how the influence thing shakes out a little later. For now, let's look at each sector of the kingdom and see what you can do there. Sectors. The first sector is called the Rim, and you've got a few options when you place there. You can either advance your pawn 2 spaces along this village track, or move up to 1 space and perhaps build a new village. So if there were a bunch of villages already built, you can move your pawn to the right up to 2 spaces. Alternatively, you can move up to 1 space, and if that puts you next to a blank area with no village tile on it, you can pay the cost printed on that space to build the next village tile in sequence. Building a village tile gets you a certain number of points. You don't get to do what's on the village tile. Well, that's what the next sector is for. At the end of the village track is this special shrine tile. If you end up next to it when you place a kin in the rim, you can pay 1 of each resource to gain 7 points and then flip the tile instead of building something new there. If you place a kin token in the shrine sector, you can move your pawn to the right up to one village, and then choose a village on the same space as your pawn, or any village to the left of your pawn, and activate its effect. All of the villages do different stuff. This one lets you flip one of your revealed kin tokens to its cloaked side, giving you more influence points in that sector come nighttime. This one gets you 2 sparks. The pre-printed village at the beginning of the track gets you 2 coins. And the special shrine tile at the end, once it's built, lets you pay 1 of each basic resource for a set of moon tiles, which is worth 9 points at the end of the game if you manage to hang on to it. In the spring sector, you can place your kin token to buy one of the face-up revelation cards. Pay the cost of the card in the top right corner and place the card in front of you. Then replenish the row. The revelation cards give you a pile of different perks. This one lets you cash it in for 5 coins. This one gets you a point whenever you place a kin in the rim sector. If you manage to hang on to these cards until the end of the game, some of them are worth a certain number of points to you. The clan house is where you can upgrade your clan to get more kin with special powers. When you place there, you flip the next token from your clan's pile into the leftmost empty spot of what the game calls the ready row. If all of the slots are full, you get rid of the first one, slide the rest over, and fill the last spot. Then you can buy one of your own kin by paying the price. It's free here, and it costs an increasing number of coins the farther along the row you go. Flipping out a new member of your clan is mandatory, but buying a kin token is optional. And if you do buy someone, you slide the remaining kin to the left to fill the gap. If you pay coins for your new kin in one of these slots, you earn an equal number of points as you paid in coins. You can never increase the size of your clan, so you'll always have the same number of kin tiles as you started with. The new kin you just recruited either replaces a kin of your choice from your hand, or replaces one of your kin who's already on the board. The kin you're replacing gets removed from the game. If you choose to replace one of your board kin, the new guy always goes face up, and you can't use his special power at this moment. We'll look at the different specialist kin powers in a bit. This sector is called the Gates. At the beginning of every daytime phase, you deal out 4 new event cards here, or 3 cards in a 2-player game. The event cards all do bad stuff, like making you lose resources or revealing your cloaked guy so that you lose influence in their sectors. The events will fire off from left to right at the beginning of the nighttime phase and affect all players. But when you place a kin in this sector, you get a spark, and you get to boot an event card of your choice to the discard pile to ensure it doesn't happen at the end of the round. And finally, here in the capital, you can place a kin token to take 1 scroll, and then move your colored disc to the front of the line and slide everyone else's token back. When the nighttime phase happens a little later on, any influence ties will be broken by the player's positions on this track. There's actually a special 7th sector in the game that has its own unique set of rules, the Radiant Phoenix Palace in the middle of the board. When you place a kin token in the palace, it has to go face up, but you don't get to use your kin's special ability. Then you have 2 options. You can either collect 1 resource of your choice, coin, scroll, or spark, and then rotate the palace clockwise 1 sector, or pay 1 spark to activate a sector that the palace is focusing, and then rotate the palace clockwise. You can tell which sectors are in focus by the light green bands on the inner wheel. Here, you'd have the choice of activating this sector, or this sector. So if the capital sector was full up, but you really need to be at the front of the line, you could place your kin token in the palace, pay 1 spark, and then activate the in-focus capital sector, which gets you 1 scroll and moves your marker to the top. Finally, you rotate the palace so that the next player can't do the exact same thing as you just did, because now 3 different sectors are in focus. Nighttime. When everyone has placed all of their kin tokens, daytime ends and you enter the nighttime phase. First, you have to resolve the effect of any remaining event cards that didn't get removed during daytime, from left to right. All event cards affect all players. Then, toss those event cards into the discard pile. Next, you look at each sector, beginning with the rim and going clockwise around the board. Every player who has at least 1 influence point in a sector gets that sector's nighttime reward. Then you determine which player has the most influence in that sector. Remember that face-down cloaked kin count for 2 influence, while face-up unveiled kin count for 1 point of influence. So here, The blue player has the most influence at the rim. All participating players who have at least one influence here can earn a scroll, but the blue player also earns a Jade Moon Shard for having the most influence. If 2 or more players are tied for influence, whoever's earliest in line at the capital wins the influence contest. So spin around the board and hand out all the nighttime prizes. In the shrine, it's 1 of any resource and a Jade Moon Shard for the winner, a Spark and an Agate Moon Shard in the Springs, and a coin and an Agate Moon Shard in the Clan House. At the gates, the nighttime reward is 4 points, and the influence winner additionally gets a Coral Moon Shard. Everyone with at least 1 influence in the capital gets 2 points, while the influence winner also gets a Coral Moon Shard. Finally, you resolve the nighttime rewards in the palace. In a 2 to 3 player game, everyone with at least 1 influence point there gets 2 favor points per kin token they've played to the palace, and the majority leader also gets the first player token for the next round. In a 4 player game, everyone gets 1 favor point per kin and 1 moon shard of their choice. The majority winner gets the first player token. When all that's said and done, you perform the dawn phase. Everyone collects their kin tokens, and you begin the next daytime phase by dealing out new event cards. Whoever earned the first player token, or managed to hang on to it, gets first pick of sectors in the new daytime round. Endgame. When you reach the dawn phase at the end of the 3rd round, the game is over. Count up the points to see who's won. To recap, every 3 resources get you a point. You get 9 points for every set of differently colored moon shards, 6 points for 3 of a kind, and 1 point for each moon shard that you can't fit into a set. Collect points for any revelation cards that you've hung on to. Add those points to the points you've already racked up along the way, and the player with the most points wins. Your positions on the capital track break ties. Kin powers. You begin the game with a clan full of apprentices and 1 fighter, but you'll gain kin with better abilities as you recruit them from the clan house. Here's an overview of what all the different specialist kin can do. If you play your fighter face up to a sector, he can strike an enemy kin in that same sector. Hitting a cloaked kin will flip it over to its unveiled side, so now it's only worth 1 influence point at nighttime instead of 2. The player whose kin gets hit doesn't get to use that kin's special ability now that it's face up. If instead your fighter hits a face up unveiled kin, well, that token gets bounced to the palace. Any player who gets bounced doesn't get to collect the daytime rewards in the palace, but they will get to participate in the nighttime palace contest. You can even hit your own kin if it works out to be strategically advantageous. The archer is similar to the fighter, but it hits a kin token on the opposite sector from where you place it. When you place your merchant in one of the 6 sectors, you get to collect 1 basic resource of your choice and a coin. The entertainer can cloak a kin token in an adjacent sector, your kin or someone else's, but you have to pay a coin to do so. By playing the trickster face up, you can use the ability of any one of your kin sitting in the ready row of the clan house. After you place the diplomat and collect the sector's daytime reward, you can swap it for any kin tile on the board, even an opponent's. The philosopher's special power lets you grab one of the face-up revelation cards, even if you didn't place them in the springs. You still have to pay the cost of the card, though. With the pathfinder, you can either advance your pawn into the next village in the rim sector, or activate the effect of the village where your pawn is positioned, even if you haven't placed him in the rim or the shrine. The clairvoyant can mess around with the event cards, even when it's placed in a sector other than the gates. You can either chuck an event card into the discard pile, or resurrect one from the discard pile back into an empty slot in the gate sector to foil one or more of your opponents. And finally, the mentor's special ability lets you take one of your kin from the ready row of the clan house and discard a kin tile of your choice from your hand. You don't flip out any new kin from your stack to the clan house when you do this. You don't have to pay for the kin, and you don't have to place your mentor in the clan house. Setup. To set up the game, lay out the main board on this side for a 2-player game, or this side for a 3 to 4-player game. Use the side of the Radiant Phoenix Palace with 2 wedges on it for a 2 to 3-player game, and 3 wedges for a 4-player game. Rotate the palace to some random position to start. Everyone picks a color and takes 4 apprentices and 1 fighter kin. Add 1 more apprentice to a 2-player game. Shuffle and stack the rest of everyone's kin tiles in separate piles in the clan house. The first player is whoever most recently saw a phoenix, real or imagined. Then ship that player off to therapy. Everyone else places a token in their color on the capital track in clockwise order from you-know-who. And in that same order, everyone flips out a kin from their clan in the clan house, with the first player taking the free spot. Everyone places a marker on the scoreboard and a pawn on the first village space. Shuffle the village tiles and place them face up here, and place the special shrine tile this side up at the end of the track. Shuffle the revelation cards and lay them out in the springs, and then lay out 4 event cards at the gates. You only need 3 event cards in a 2-player game. When the first player returns from a nice little lie down, hand that player the first player token and the decorative Radiant Phoenix token, and pray it doesn't provoke a relapse. Then build the first level of the Radiant Phoenix Palace and begin the daytime phase of the first of 3 rounds, with your starting player taking the first turn and everyone else following clockwise. And now you're ready to play Ryozen.
Thanks, Ryan. I think we've got it. And if you folks would like to learn a little bit more about this game, you can follow the links that are on the screen right now or down in the show notes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.